And Corla, I wish to thank deputies for their observations, contributions in the bill. I say to Deputy Loughlin, yes, I would be very happy to continue engagement with you and your colleagues, and indeed all colleagues in the House. But I want to respond in the first instance to comments made by Deputy McBarry, who of course has left the chamber. Comments that he made in respect of a direct provision, which he described as a racist policy. I say to Deputy Barry, I say to the House, that is just plain wrong. It's offensive. It's based on ideology rather than reason. Under EU law, international law, Ireland, like other countries, is obliged to examine the claim of any person who comes here and claims international protection, asylum, under clearly defined grounds. If we believe in the integrity and the actual concept of asylum, then we should wish to have claims tested and to preserve this right for genuine applicants for international protection. Asylum is not a backdoor for economic migration. It's a system of international law established to protect those fleeing their home country for well-defined reasons. And all of us in this House should respect that fact. While a claim for international protection is being examined, Ireland is obliged to offer accommodation and related services. We offer all meals and food. We offer medical care and utilities. Weekly personal allowance is paid to each person, and exceptional needs are covered by the Department of Employment and Social Protection. There's a misconception, fuelled by those who should and do know better, that those provided with accommodation are in some way incarcerated, detained against their will. This is wholly inaccurate. In the first instance, there's no obligation to accept the offer of accommodation. Some applicants don't take up the offer at all. Secondly, there's no restriction on the freedom of movement of applicants throughout the state. Indeed, direct provision was introduced to deal with a situation where asylum seekers were effectively homeless, where they had no shelter, where they had no protection. Those calling for it to end have offered nothing in terms of realistic or viable alternatives. There's been a great deal of criticism of the system of accommodation over the years. Some of this has been warranted. In response, a programme of reforms has been instigated through the excellent work of Judge Brian McMahon and his working group in order to deliver real improvements for residents in living conditions and standards. This work will continue, including through the rollout of the independent living model, implementation of new standards across centres. Indeed, residents also have access to the services of the Ombudsman for Children. In terms of new centres, demand for accommodation services remains consistently high. There's been an increase in the number of applicants. In 2018, 3,670 people applied for international protection, an increase of 25% compared to the previous year. In addition, over 700 people who have been granted protection status or permission to remain in the state have chosen to remain in accommodation centres. The RIA is assisting these people to transition to mainstream housing services. But this is a challenge. This is a challenge in the context of the current housing environment. To respond to demand, RIA has tendered for new centres. A number have opened in recent times. The RIA has not chosen specific locations. It has simply identified premises offered through the tender process. I understand the opening of new centres may cause some anxieties, but I want to assure communities that the experience of communities where centres are long established has been positive. Friends of centre groups, which are set up everywhere, have been effective in promoting integration. Individual departments are responsible for ensuring that arrangements are made for school places, for healthcare and so on. I understand that when communities say they wish to be consulted in advance, but we cannot consult in advance when trying to negotiate commercial contracts. Indeed, Minister Stanton and myself will continue to look at ways to better support communities where centres open. I don't have much time, Count Corla, but I also want to make reference of a specific nature to a point raised by Deputy Kenny. I want to make it quite clear. There is no scheme by which citizenship of this state can be bought or purchased for money or money's worth. I ask Deputy Kenny to reflect on these comments in the context of this overall debate. Finally, There is no system in which you can buy your citizenship. In conclusion, Gian Corla, I want to say that the enactment of this bill will be a reversion to an older system which was unfit for purpose. This was the opinion of the Masters of the Maternity Hospital, as recalled by Deputy O'Callaghan, but it was also the opinion of the Irish people when put to them in a referendum. So comparatively speaking, I say this in conclusion, we have a relatively open immigration and citizenship regime. Since 2010, 130,000 new citizens are living actively in our community. Just over 27,000 children, the vast majority of whom were born to non-EEA nationals, have become citizens of Ireland through naturalisation, which demonstrates in real terms the results of effective compliance with our present legal pathways to citizenship. The existing arrangements are fair. They work for all who respect our laws and work for all who comply with our laws. I regret that the government cannot support the bill, but I do welcome the opportunity we have to discuss it, and I want to acknowledge what Deputy O'Loughlin has said. I also thank the sponsoring deputies for providing an opportunity to debate these issues, which must be based on facts, not conjecture, not speculation, not ideology.